So, Josh, being a former insulator, can you tell us what you have concocted here for our training evolution for the insulation that we're using?
So essentially, you're going to see just about everything that we actually use out there. Inside, you have calcium silicate, which is the hard, chalky white insulation that you'll see outside very often. That technically didn't quite make the gap, so with that you also have ceramic wool, which is a very common insulation. In fact, if you oversize certain valves and stuff, it'll be calcium silicate on the outside stuffed with ceramic wool on the inside. So just because you see something this big, it could be stuffed with a very soft absorbent insulation, which is what this is going to do. Outside the calcil itself, we got a pad, which is normally an exterior layer, but it's very similar to that because you get to see how tight the pad wraps. That's fiberglass, and it's got a silicone-infused blanket. They're all fire retardant on that one. The bottom of it would be an example of like temp wrap. So that is literally just run-of-the-mill batting insulation, foil-backed fiberglass. It's just wrapped a few times. A lot of times you'll just see it spiral wrapped. We'll get it on temp insulation for heat trace lines, stuff like that. So you'll see all that. So that's 3 layers of just about everything you see out there.
Is that how it will be bound together at the plant? I know they use stainless steel wire because we got that from the insulator. What other ways might it be bound together?
So normally you'd see either stainless wire. So it's actually per spec. So if it's a certain size up, if it's greater than 12 inches, you'll actually see it banded on. You'll lose the wire. So if you got a bigger than 12-inch pipe, you'll actually see calcil insulation banded on. So you won't go out there with that. You'll have bands spaced about every foot. In this case, just about everywhere, if you got calcil, it's going to be jacketed. So there's not really anywhere you're going to see because that's your final weatherproofing, because calcil is actually super absorbent with water. I assume it's going to be very absorbent with any kind of fuel you'll put onto it.
Find out.
It actually soaks up about 10 times its weight. So it's pretty gnarly. But yes, it's stainless wire. Normally you'll see the jacket on there, although the pad does represent some of it, because sometimes you'll just have the calcil on both sides and a pad on the outside. And then you'll see metal coming off the end of it. But so it kind of represents that, especially when you come to a valve. A lot of times the valves will be pad insulation, and the piping coming off it'll be hardcover.
So I understand some of the larger piping, you'll have the calcil, then you'll have some mudded on stuff, then you have chicken wire, then you have...
That's the very big stuff. So if you got heads and large vessels and stuff like that, you'll actually see the chicken wire, the mud. Then it's got a canvas on it, and then it's got a coating on the outside of that. It's got a mastic coating that's on that. That's the turbine is just like that.
So to get that off, is there anything special, or just knocking it off like you did during the fire?
Honestly, if you can get to it easy, the canvas. So the canvas is actually, once you put the mastic on it, it's actually going to absorb a lot of impact. So if you're sitting there trying to pick at it, you're going to make small dents. So ideally, it would be that canvas will just cut. Slice the canvas and then get you a rip in it. You can tear that canvas straight out, and then you're left with the calcil. Calcil is going to be super brittle, especially how much heat has been put to it, and that stuff will damn near just crumble off. So you'll be able to get that.
So that matting, it's kind of like shoelaces. You can tighten it up.
Yes.
So if you can find those laces, cut them, it should conceivably pull off. Then expose the inner layer that you can knock off.
For the pad insulation is normally laced. A lot of the times it's just a single lace, but again, it's simple that if you can cut just a few of the laces, you'll start getting a little slack. There is a lot of times where we always in the trade is just bridle wire, where you'll tighten both ends up. So even if you loosen that lace, you'll have a top and bottom cinch wire on it to drag that close, so you'll have to cut those off. The lacing wire itself, normally it's just one solid run, laced back and forth. So if you just cut that top run, that bottom run, you'll start unlacing it pretty quick.
No special tools, really, just metal cutting
Little
pliers.
set of either diagonal cutters, end nippers. You could technically use the snips you got, something to cut it. It's all pretty thin gauge, just about anything to cut it.
So, as an insulator, if you had a tight place to get to, you would have a scaffold door to build a scaffold to get you to it. For the fire vent, what would have been the best way to get to some of that to get it off? That was the problem we ran into. Is there anything available to give you reach to cut that binding?
We do have, so for steam leaks, when we were removing insulation, we actually do have some nippers that were fashioned that are welded to chunks of stainless tubing. So they're about yay long. We don't have a blade that way, but we do have nippers for for steam leak removal. So it could be something that we could have if we do have an event like that, to where we can get some nippers on some of that.
Cool. Well, I appreciate it. I think that this, as of yet, is the best demonstration we got with all of the materials.